Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Once again, millions of Americans are in the path of a winter storm. People from Texas to Maine are dealing with snow, ice, and bitter cold temperatures.
The storm has already paralyzed the Gulf Coast region, and it's created extremely difficult driving conditions in several states. George Thomas has the story.
The fourth winter storm this season is bearing down on the Northeast, with D.C., Philly, New York City, and much of New England in the strike zone. The storm is expected to intensify off the East Coast, bringing lots of snow, ice, and bitter cold weather. Officials in North Carolina declaring a state of emergency ahead of the storm's arrival.
We know that forecasts can change quickly, so we're preparing now, and we want to urge everyone to do the same.
The impact of the storm already being felt from San Antonio to Shreveport, as ice-covered bridges and roadways made for treacherous driving conditions.
Whoa, there's a...
Houston hit especially hard with multiple accidents.
If you don't have to be on the roads, please don't be on the roads.
Dangerous wind chills prompted schools to close across Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and 5 other states. Dramatic time-lapse video showed a big cloud moving over the Big Easy as residents of New Orleans braced for the storm. This was the scene further north in St. Francisville, Louisiana, as that city and nearby Baton Rouge got a dose of the winter weather. On Interstate 65 near Bonneville, Kentucky, a major pileup because of a multi-vehicle wreck that injured at least 7 passengers on a Greyhound bus. Traffic at a standstill for miles. The streets of Memphis covered in white. A similar scene of snow and ice captured on drone video from Canton, Texas. All this wintry weather causing havoc at airports. Nearly 14,000 flights canceled or delayed, creating travel nightmares from Texas to Maine as northern states prepared for the latest winter onslaught. George Thomas, CBN News.
Oh, I got a shiver just watching that story. Just stay home. Stay home. Don't go out in this awful weather. The safest thing to do is to stay off the streets and just hunker down and wait for it to pass over. In other news, President Trump has gotten a positive report on his health from the White House doctor. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That is right, Gordon. The president is in excellent health, both physically and mentally, according to the results from his annual physical. Dr. Ronnie Johnson took questions from the White House press corps for nearly an hour Tuesday, saying he talked to the president about improving his diet and exercising, and adding that he'd like to see Mr. Trump lose 10 to 15 pounds this year. Jackson says the 71-year-old commander-in-chief requested a cognitive test that he passed with flying colors.
For all those things. It screens for any type of cognitive issues, Alzheimer's and all those other things. And so, the fact that the president got, 30 out of 30 on that exam, I think that, there's no indication whatsoever that he has any cognitive issues.
The White House doc also said the president personally told him to answer every single question from the reporters after recent reporting in the media about Trump's state of mind. Well, Israel's prime minister says he's certain the Trump administration will move the U.S. embassy in Israel to Jerusalem in the coming year. The embassy is currently located in Tel Aviv, and American officials have said it's unlikely for a Jerusalem embassy to open before the end of Trump's first term. But Prime Minister Netanyahu told Israeli reporters traveling with him in India today that his solid assessment is the embassy move will happen faster than people think. Well, the Trump administration is cutting $65 million in aid to the United Nations agency that supports Palestinian organizations and refugees. The U.S. supplies nearly 30% of the budget of the UN Relief and Works Agency, which is called UNRWA. Israeli critics say the agency misuses humanitarian aid to support anti-Israel propaganda and doesn't actually help Palestinian refugees. The U.S. has made it clear that future donations will be contingent on whether the agency makes some major changes.
We would like other countries, in fact, other countries that criticize the United States for what they believe to be our position vis-a-vis the Palestinians, other countries that have criticized us to step forward and actually help with UNRWA to do more.
And Gordon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is praising the administration's decision.
Well, I'm praising it too, and it's about time. UNRWA's been in place for 70 years. It goes back to 1948, and its initial mission was to take care of the refugees who left Israel in advance of the war declared by the Arab neighbors of Israel against Israel. And it was, that war was declared within hours of Israel's declaration that it was now a sovereign state. And the whole idea is you need to move out so that we can wage war, and when we win, you can move back. Well, it's been 70 years, and the chance of them moving back is zero. So it's about time to say, okay, how can we settle you in nations, whether that's Lebanon or Syria or Jordan, or the current territory controlled by the Palestinian Authority? How can we get on to nation building if you really want a two-state solution? But UNRWA doesn't want any of that. It wants to continue the fiction that these are refugees, and we're now dealing 70 years later with the fourth generation, and they get refugee status for something that happened in 1948. It's time to end it, and there are plenty of other programs. There's a whole complete department of the UN dealing with refugees elsewhere in the world, and their prime task is resettlement. How do you find jobs? How do you find a productive future? How do you make a new country your home? So that's what needs to happen, and it's wonderful news, and I applaud the administration for taking this courageous step. It's wonderful to hear it.